is the tank. Chris Church from Dulverton is the owner and no doubt the driver of that. As I understand, that's manufactured by Alvis with a Jaguar 4.2 litre engine in, giving 190 horsepower. It's got a 7.62mm machine gun, 30mm rod and cannon. And the bank of smoke dischargers and other items. And you can see it's got a fair turn of speed. It's fitted with nuclear, biological and a chemical system as well. Usually a crew of 3, driver, commander and gunner. Top speed of 80 kilometres per hour, that's about 55 I reckon. And it does, at least 4 miles to the gallon. And a range of 400 miles in its tank. So I don't know if you can see all the crew of 3 there. And so there we go. Well, that's finished off number 64. Anyway, whoops. Yes. I don't know why he's aiming at the beer tent, really, but because that's a vital piece of equipment here. Anyhow, there we are. A little bit of drama there. I like that military uniform. I didn't realise a top hat was part of it, but yeah, well, I suppose they did. Yes. Anyhow, here comes the next fascinating item. In fact, we got a rare invasion of military items this year. Nothing like dying on your feet trying to talk about things you don't know. Anyhow, it could be number 48, this one. Here it is. Well, 48, again, Chris Church, the tank owner. That's his Hagland vehicle of the 1980s. Here both days. This is a 1980s Hagland. It's an all-terrain personnel carrier. Can carry 6 passengers in the front and 11 in the rear. But we'll tell you a bit more about it in a moment because we've got to nip on with number 53, which is Keith Budden and Denise Gridley's Willie's Jeep. There we are. Jeeps were very popular, were very vital in the war and post-war years. That's the Willie M38 Jeep of 1952. And the last of the flat fender Jeeps. 60,000 of those were built in the very early 50s. They were built for the Korean War. The same engine as the World War Jeeps, but they were toughened up. Anyway, we've got one of our vehicles now. I'm not sure which variety it is, whether it's a Bedford or a Dodge, but the personnel carrier there. Heading on, you can see all the fittings on the back of it as well that were used. And number 52 following us, Michael Simmons from East Harptree. That's his Rail Motors of the USA. Up 1958 for a cargo troop carrier there, similar to the one in front, but a bit larger and more impressive. And note the vital canvas bucket on the back. So we're going to get near the front now with number 10. Again, as I keep telling you, you can have a word with these later on to give you more of an insight. But number 10, Alison Michelle Small, from a Honiton area, and looks to be a Humber there, but I can't give you too much. Yes, I can. Here we got a veritable. It's a 1942 Humber Healy Utilities, restored by Alex Small 6 years ago, and it's the same vehicle as used by officers. Same vehicle as was used by personnel during the Second World War. But that, well, yes, it is, because it was made during the Second World War. That is of 1942 vintage. And number 41, this is what we like to see. Lee Marshall is toddling around here. I hope he didn't ride it from Ashbrittle. You never know. Oh, blimey! Yes, Lee. Yes. That's not Lee on the bike, that's old Alan there, but he would definitely have not ridden as far from Ashbrittle, I don't think, and still be smiling. Anyhow, it's a Rudge Cycle Company. Rudge was a very well-known maker of cycles of all types, and this is of 1939, a gent cycle, as used in wartime. And now we go back to number 24, and Terence Herson from South Molton with his GMC crew carrier of 1943. It served in the Second World War in Europe, had a refit in 1955 in Berlin, leased the Norwegian Army by the US Army, and then that was followed by a complete rebuild in 1958. Arrived here in 1994, found a lock-up in Bolton, and the previous owners have done some good work on it. And following us up now is the Military Police, number 57, Tim Selwyn from Holsworthy, North Devon Way, with his Harley Davidson, well-known make there, and very useful in wartime. 1944, nicely set up for wartime. No other details there. It's a 750cc model anyway. So there we are, the Harley Davidson of 1944. And it looks like number 32 is approaching us. All will be revealed in due course. And it is, I think it's almost certainly Robert Miller from Cullompton. Well, the Sutton part of it anyhow. And there's this Norton combination of 1941. Again, well-known make of wartime, pre and post-war, the Norton, like the Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson of US origin. Norton, a good old British machine, of course. Very sturdy. Rigid frame by the look of it, so sorted you out a bit if you did much riding on that. But again, vital for the war effort. And 47 approaches us. Yet another from Christchurch this time. And this is his Land Rover, as you can see, of 1976. And, I was going to say, where's Chris from? It doesn't say here. It's from the Bristol area, I think I said earlier on. Now, that was used in the first of the Gulf Wars by the Royal Marines Artillery Unit, and is designed to be easily transported by air. And it's known as a gun tractor, and it would then have towed a field gun and carried a ton of ammunition. V8 petrol engine, 4-speed gearbox, high and low ranges as well, so that's pretty good. Number 12. Margaret and Barry Lacey own this one. They're from Somerton, and it's a Series 1 Land Rover. You can see how Land Rovers had all kinds of uses in their time. They were produced post-war, of course, originally produced from 1948, and still a popular model these days. This is the Series 1 Land Rover, as you can see, with the headlights inside the mudguards there on the front of the engine. 2,000 cc's. Short wheelbase Land Rover, and the markings are number 1 parachute balloon training company based at Chardington from 50 to 55. It was Ted Cooper's old Army unit, and Ted restored and owned the Land Rover for 22 years. And the Lacey family have then owned it for the last 11 years. And number 5 approaches us. Jacqueline Sutton from Watchet is the owner of this Land Rover. Again, this may well be a Series 2, 1983. I would think so, but if I turn over the page, it might tell me, but it doesn't. It's a lightweight air transportable Land Rover, anyhow, rebuilt in 2005. Thank you. Fully camouflaged, as you can see, and again, you can note the differences in Land Rover with the two of them. Pretty much the same, but a few refinements and updated as well. Number 18. 18 approaches us now. And Mark Lacey, another of his exhibits. Another Land Rover of 1976, a Series 3. So the Land Rover I call a Series 2 would be later than that, the Land Rover in front. But this one, number 18, is definitely a Series 3. And it's of 1976. In fact, it was first registered in February of that year. And here's in the markings of the Gibraltar Regiment. And it's been used in the James Bond film, The Living Daylights, and thankfully it's still in one piece. Well done, thanks very much. Mark Lacey's from Yeovil, by the way. Oh, lo and behold, we're coming. We're back at the beginning. Number 1. Here we are. The lovely Bedford, 1500 weight vehicle here, manufactured by Vauxhall, as you guessed, 1940. Fitted with aero screens, and as you can see, they're pretty Spartan, so they were known as pneumonia wagons when you were out and about in the cold. 3.5 litre 6-cylinder engine, but is governed to 45 miles an hour, and maximum, at that maximum it uses 10 to 12 miles per gallon. The manufacture of these ceased in 1945, but many were used well into the 1950s, and lots of British service personnel learned their driving on them. And number 15 approaches. Oh, that one, Colin Hames from Buckfastleigh was the owner of that one. Colin Harms, rather, and Paul Harms is from Paynton, is coming along with his Bedford 1940 OYD of 28 horsepower. Found on a farm in Shropshire in 2005, and it was utterly derelict. And over 2 years restoration, it's become this impressive vehicle now. So again, wartime livery. And on to the RAF now with number 31. And I think it's Peter Bold who's got this machine. It's a Bedford of 1941. And it's a good example of updated Bedford. It was lovely and restored as a 299 Squadron RAF truck serving at RAF Keyville. It's powered by a 6-cylinder 3.5 litre engine, and there's an early example also on the showground owned by Richard and Diane Charlton. This version, as it says, if you're observant, and I'm sure you are, is RAF blue, fitted with doors and a full windscreen for optimum comfort compared with the pneumonia wagon we saw in front. And now we've got number 14 toddling past. We're getting there. Yeah. Well, there we are. Colin Harms again owns this one from Buckfastleigh. That's the Austin K2 of 1944. It was built then, and it went to the 52nd Lowland Division and landed near Antwerp in 1944 and went on through to Brenham in Germany at the end of the war, and now it's back with us. And then we move on to 69, which... right, yeah.